super strict about his lease.
Oh, you hired a private investigator?
Yes, you can't just break your lease because you lost a job.
I was doing the right thing. I could have stayed. I didn't want to get evicted.
But the tenant says she was just being a good mom.
I'm a single mom and I have to do what I have to do for my kids, and that was not paying the rent. I've never had to do that in the past, but in this situation, I had to. He's the worst landlord I've ever had.
People who move in the middle of the night, usually, they're trying to hide, they're trying to escape town.
And later, is this customer satisfied or terrified?
I got a picture of the man on the bike. He's smiling. He's happy with it. He's talking about his rig. He's smiling.
But as you can see, he's standing on the side of that bike because he knows if he rides that bike without title, without it being registered, he could be arrested and pulled over.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Gary Sharma says his former tenant broke her lease and left the place dirty. He's suing for $6,232 in back rent and damages. Defendant Cassandra Fisher says the condo was run down, and it's not her fault the landlord couldn't find a new tenant.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. We have Sharma versus Fisher.
Thank you, Barbara. Gary Sharma?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant, Cassandra Fisher, for $6,232. You say she owes you for lost rent, damages to property, and private investigator fees.
Yes.
Okay, why don't you tell me what happened?
Well, she was my tenant for 4 years. She signed a brand new lease on April 1st, and she
April 1st of what year?
of this year.
Okay. What kind of a residence is it?
It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, 1,000 square feet.
Okay, do you have the lease with you?
Yes.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
And what was she paying in rent every month?
Well, it varied because the rent changed every year.
Well, the new lease that she signed. Okay, $1,650. Okay, and what happened?
Well, she broke the lease at the end of April, at the end of the first month. She trashed the place. I just spent 8 weeks rehabbing it and finding a new tenant, and then I had to, of course, hire a private investigator to find her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you hired a private investigator?
Yes.
Okay, and what happened after you hired the private investigator? How did he find her?
He found her within a few days, and I had her served.
Okay, so what happened, Ms. Fisher?
First of all, I have been a tenant of his for the last 4 years. He is the worst landlord I've ever had. He basically, as soon as I moved in 4 years ago, I brought numerous repairs and issues with the condo.
Right, but let me just stop you there because you voluntarily signed a lease.
I did.
For 3 years, so I don't want to hear about any issues you had 3 years that you lived there when you renewed the lease every year. So my question to you is, you have a lease, you sign it April 1st, 2014, and it's a 1-year lease. When did you move out?
The very last day of April, I think it was April 30th.
Okay.
I lost my job April 12th after 10 years.
Okay. And so, and that precipitated you breaking the lease and moving out?
I notified him right away. I'm a single parent of 2. I notified him as soon as I lost my job that I had to basically move out. I couldn't continue to live at the condo at that time. I was going to have to move out.
And you knew that in a matter of, because, I mean, a lot of people in this economy go through ups and downs, and you may lose your job, and I'm sorry that happened because I know it's tough. But why did you feel that was your only option, was to, in a matter of a few weeks, just break your lease and move? Where'd you move to?
Oregon. Basically, the cost of living, because I wasn't going to sign any lease with him. I was actually looking around.
Are you paying rent now?
Yes.
How much are you paying?
$9.85.
Okay.
I had an opportunity to move to Oregon and stay with a friend for a little while. I knew I couldn't stay and continue to pay rent without a job. So I basically just decided to, let him know right away and tell him I couldn't continue my lease, which I'd never done in the past. But in this certain situation, I really felt like I had no option.
Did she have a conversation with you?
Actually, it was at the end of April, around April 25th or so.
I called you the day I lost my job.
No,
Yes,
no.
I did.
Around April 25th, that she texted me and says, "I lost my job. I may be moving in a few days."
That's not true.
And I told her that you can't just break your lease because you lost a job.
I was doing the right thing. I could have stayed. I didn't want to get evicted. I basically told him I have to move. I'm a single mom and I have to do what I have to do for my kids, and that was not paying the rent. I've never had to do that in the past, but in this situation, I had to.
Okay, so you leave and then you hire the private investigator.
Well, first I had to fix the place up. So it took 3-4 weeks to fix it up. And then it took another 6 weeks to rent. So I didn't hire the private investigator until I knew all my damages and what they were. And then I hired her. Actually, I filed the case.
And what damages do you say she caused in the unit?
Well, besides the rent, she also damaged my garage door motor. There's a one-car garage associated with the condo.
Did you break the motor?
No.
I have a
Okay,
picture.
what's that about?
I have a picture. Well, after she left, I looked at the place. I opened the garage door, and the chains were broken. The chains were hanging from the
Do you
motor.
know anything about that?
No. It was working fine when I left.
Let me see the photos.
I have the photo, and
Do you have any proof that prior to her moving in, the garage door was working?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had gotten a brand new garage door motor before she moved in. I mean,
Let me see the photos.
that's how it looked when I opened the garage door on May 1st.
Let me see the receipt.
Okay.
So this is the $498
Correct.
receipt?
There's a receipt, and there's a credit card statement showing that I paid it.
Okay, next photo. What is this a photo of?
That shows the damaged carpet.
Where's the damage?
Damage is actually the whole condo. This is the living room. There's also damage in both bedrooms and the hallway,
I was
and
there
then
for
also
4 years.
the living room floor.
Well, I don't see any damage to the carpet. This is the old carpet that you said was so damaged.
No, what happened was I had a month before that I had the carpets professionally cleaned.
Okay, and the carpet looks fine. I don't.
No, actually, there's it's completely stained.
You're not getting
Actually,
money
it's
for
completely
damages
stained
to
up,
the
and also
carpet.
there was
That's
urine on the
ridiculous.
carpet too.
Yeah,
You're not getting damages. You're not getting money for damages to the carpet. 4
Okay.
years, you need to replace the carpet before someone else moves in.
Coming up on Judge Faith, is this landlord willing to do anything to get paid?
I've never had a landlord come in and say they hired a private investigator to find someone, so you're like pretty serious about your leases and your tenants.
And later, landlord Gary Sharma is suing his former tenant for back rent and damages. Defendant Cassandra Fisher says her landlord didn't fix things, so she doesn't know.
You have a duty to mitigate when someone breaks their lease. She admits that she broke the lease, but you have a duty to mitigate, and that means you have to find a new tenant to move into the unit. Did you find a new tenant to move into the unit, and can you show me a lease showing the
Yes.
month and date?
Yeah. This is the new lease for the.
When I say duty to mitigate, I mean mitigate damages, because when you break your lease and you don't pay rent, that is considered to be a damage. Okay, so the new tenant signed the lease and moved in it started on July 5th of 2014.
Correct.
So from May 1st of 2014 to July 5th, 2014, you did not have a tenant living in that unit due to the defendant breaking the lease.
Correct. It was vacant.
Okay. I've never had a landlord come in and say they hired a private investigator to find someone, so you're like pretty serious about your leases and your tenants. So, do you have a receipt for the private investigator?
I do.
How did you know this? Do you have a private investigator on call? How did you know?
No, I just Googled him.
Oh, you just Googled.
I got lucky. I found a guy who was good.
Okay. I guess so. All right. Let me see the receipt for the private investigator. And so in these situations where, because I've had to break a lease before too and move, things happen during a 1-year lease, and sometimes you have to break them and move. But the best thing to do is, if you don't want to be held accountable for the rent, help the landlord find a new tenant that's suitable and that he approves of, so that when you move out, you already have someone else available to move in, and that sort of helps mitigate the damages, because that's what I've had to do when I've broken a lease. I spoke to the landlord and we came to an agreement. Hey, if you find somebody else that I approve of to move in after you need to move out, it's fine, because he's not losing any money. And so it's not about, the fact that you lost your job, those things happen, you had to move. I think it's more so the way you did it in the middle of the night, trying to hide, they're trying to escape town. And so if you had to move, the best thing that you could have done was to at least try to help him mitigate those damages by trying to find someone else who can move into the unit. Okay, so my judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. I am ordering you to pay the back rent, which totals $3,575. $498 for the broken garage door. I actually do credit his testimony on that, and I looked at the photos of the broken chains. I'm also ordering you to pay $598 real estate broker's fee, which he has proof that he paid in order to find a new person to move into the unit. In addition, $80 for the private investigator. My total judgment in this case is $4,751 verdict for the plaintiff.